Life is finite. Every breath, every heartbeat, every fleeting moment reminds us that existence is bounded, temporary, fragile. And yet, paradoxically, within this limitation lies the potential for the deepest freedom, the most profound joy, and the clearest understanding of what truly matters. Epicurus, the ancient philosopher, devoted his life to exploring this tension between the finite and the meaningful, showing that the awareness of life's limits can be the key to living fully. At first, this paradox can feel frightening. Finite life implies endings, death, loss, unfulfilled desires, unfinished projects. Psychologically, the recognition of mortality triggers existential anxiety, a deep, primal unease that lurks beneath daily routines. Humans are wired to avoid thinking about death, yet the avoidance itself can intensify fear, leaving us restless, distracted, or endlessly seeking external validation. Epicurus, however, provides a radical approach to confront finitude not with dread, but with understanding. By acknowledging that life is finite, we can prioritize what is truly meaningful, discard the unnecessary, and embrace the present with clarity and purpose. Epicurus's core insight revolves around pleasure, not in the hedonistic, indulgent sense often misunderstood, but in the pursuit of tranquility, freedom from unnecessary fear, and the cultivation of lasting satisfaction. In a finite world, every action carries weight. Time lost cannot be regained. Every misdirected effort, every moment spent chasing trivialities reduces the space available for authentic happiness. Psychologically, this is seen in patterns of compulsive striving and chronic dissatisfaction. Epicurus's solution is subtle but profound. Differentiate between natural and necessary desires, food, shelter, friendship, and vain desires, status, power, excess. By satisfying natural desires mindfully, we cultivate contentment. By rejecting vain desires, we liberate ourselves from anxiety and endless striving. Think of a day when you paused, truly savoring a meal, a conversation with a loved one, or the warmth of sunlight on your skin. In those small, finite moments lies the essence of Epicurean insight. Life's brevity amplifies the significance of these experiences. Each fleeting encounter, each touch, each word exchanged becomes precious. Psychologically, mindfulness, the conscious awareness of the present, enhances this appreciation. By anchoring ourselves in the immediacy of experience, we align with the philosophy of Epicurus, recognizing that while life is limited, it is also abundant in opportunities for genuine pleasure, connection, and understanding. The paradox deepens when we consider freedom. A finite life is also a life constrained, and yet constraints paradoxically create clarity. When we know that time is limited, we are forced to choose, to focus, to live deliberately. Epicurus saw this as a source of empowerment. Awareness of limits frees us from the illusion of infinite time, which often breeds procrastination, distraction, and avoidance. Emotionally, the acceptance of finitude fosters courage. It encourages us to speak our truth, to express love, to pursue creative endeavors, to face challenges we might otherwise ignore. The finite horizon sharpens priorities, illuminates values, and heightens the richness of lived experience. Epicurus also emphasized friendship as central to navigating the paradox of life in a finite world. He argued that the companionship of trusted friends provides both emotional security and a framework for joy. Psychologically, humans are wired for connection. Loneliness amplifies anxiety, depression, and existential dread, whereas supportive relationships buffer against suffering and enhance well-being. In a finite life, cultivating meaningful friendships becomes both a rational strategy for happiness and a moral imperative. Each interaction carries depth. Each shared moment is a reminder that while life is short, it can be full of richness, laughter, and emotional sustenance. Another dimension of Epicurus's insight concerns death. Modern society treats death as a taboo, something to fear or ignore, yet Epicurus invites us to contemplate it directly. Death is not an enemy, it is a natural endpoint, a return to the state we were before birth. By acknowledging this, we free ourselves from the paralyzing fear that drives much human suffering. Emotionally, this fosters acceptance, equanimity, and a readiness to embrace life fully. Psychologically, it is a profound intervention against chronic anxiety. When we no longer expend energy fearing death, we can redirect it toward living intentionally, nurturing joy, and deepening relationships. The paradox becomes most poignant when considering ambition. Humans are naturally driven to achieve, to leave a mark, to transcend limitations. Yet in a finite world, ambition must be measured. Epicurus teaches that striving without reflection can lead to frustration and suffering. Success pursued at the expense of peace, pleasure, or connection often backfires, leaving emptiness instead of fulfillment. Psychologically, this underscores the principle of balance. Pursue goals, yes, but in harmony with the deeper values that ensure contentment. Ambition constrained by mindfulness, moderated by self-awareness, and guided by ethical reflection becomes a source of satisfaction rather than stress. Consider the existential tension. We are aware of our mortality, yet we possess creativity, desire, and agency. We know that life is brief, yet we yearn for legacy, impact, and permanence. Epicurus's wisdom lies in resolving this tension. Focus on what is within your power, accept what is inevitable, and seek pleasure in its truest form. Freedom from fear, meaningful connection, and mindful engagement with life. Emotionally, this alleviates regret and guilt. It transforms anxiety into intentional action and fleeting moments into profound experiences. Psychologically, it encourages adaptive coping, resilience, and emotional regulation. Epicurus also challenges us to reflect on the rhythm of life. In a finite world, every cycle, birth and death, joy and sorrow, effort and rest, carries significance. Awareness of this rhythm fosters emotional intelligence. We learn patience in times of waiting, gratitude in times of abundance, and acceptance in times of loss. Life's finiteness sharpens perception, heightens sensitivity, and deepens the appreciation of beauty, love, and shared human experience. Each fleeting sunset, each laugh, each act of kindness becomes a thread in the rich tapestry of existence. In practical terms, living with Epicurean insight requires self-reflection and conscious decision-making. Daily habits, choices, and interactions shape the quality of a finite life. Modern distractions, social media, overwork, compulsive consumption diminish awareness of time's preciousness. By intentionally reducing these distractions, focusing on essential desires, and nurturing relationships, we align our actions with the principles of Epicurus. Psychologically, this cultivates focus, reduces stress, and increases overall life satisfaction. Emotionally, it fosters joy, intimacy, and a sense of purpose.
Finally, the paradox of life in a finite world teaches humility. Recognizing our limits does not diminish our potential, it frames it. Every action, choice, and experience gains clarity when seen against the horizon of mortality. We are empowered not by denying finitude, but by integrating it into our understanding of existence. Psychologically, this enhances self-efficacy. We learn to act intentionally, embrace uncertainty, and navigate life with courage and wisdom. Emotionally, it fosters gratitude, resilience, and an appreciation for the fleeting beauty of each moment. In conclusion, the paradox of life in a finite world is not a source of despair, but a gateway to profound freedom and meaning. Epicurus's insights illuminate the path. Acknowledge finitude, embrace natural desires, cultivate friendships, confront fear, and live deliberately. Psychologically, emotionally, and existentially, these practices transform life's brevity from a limitation into a catalyst for joy, clarity, and fulfillment. The finite horizon sharpens perception, enriches experience, and invites us to live fully, not tomorrow, not someday, but now. As we continue, it becomes evident that life's finitude is both a mirror and a magnifier of our deepest emotions. When we confront the limits of existence, our feelings intensify. Joy becomes sweeter, love becomes deeper, and even sorrow gains a layered resonance. Epicurus's philosophy encourages us to experience these emotions fully, without avoidance or suppression. Psychologically, this aligns with the principle of emotional granularity, the ability to perceive and articulate subtle differences in feelings, which strengthens resilience and enhances self-understanding. Emotionally, it transforms ordinary moments into profound experiences, illuminating the extraordinary within the everyday. Consider fear, one of the most universal human emotions. Fear of death, fear of loss, fear of inadequacy. These arise naturally in a finite life. Epicurus teaches that fear diminishes when grounded in understanding. Death, he reminds us, is nothing to us. Loss, while painful, is part of the natural order. By framing fear in this context, we not only reduce anxiety, but also enhance our capacity for courage. Psychologically, this process is akin to cognitive reframing, transforming threatening perceptions into manageable, meaningful interpretations. Emotionally, it liberates the heart, allowing us to engage in life fully without being paralyzed by dread. Love, too, is profoundly shaped by the awareness of finitude. Knowing that time is limited heightens the value of connection. Relationships, whether romantic, familial, or platonic, gain intensity and clarity. Epicurus emphasized friendship as central to happiness, yet this principle extends to all meaningful bonds. Emotionally, recognizing that every encounter may be transient fosters appreciation, attentiveness, and genuine presence. Psychologically, it encourages secure attachment, empathy, and active listening, reducing relational misunderstandings and increasing mutual satisfaction. In a finite life, love is not merely a luxury, it is a necessity, a lifeline, and a conduit to meaning.
Epicurus also invites contemplation on pleasure itself, carefully distinguishing between fleeting indulgence and enduring contentment. Pleasure, in its truest form, is the absence of pain, fear, and disturbance, a state of equilibrium and tranquility. Psychologically, this resembles modern concepts of emotional regulation and mindfulness. Satisfaction arises not from excess, but from balance, not from overindulgence, but from attuned awareness. Emotionally, it creates space for gratitude, serenity, and the quiet joy that accompanies presence.
In a finite world, the subtle pleasures, the warmth of sunlight, the taste of nourishing food, the sound of a loved one's voice become profound anchors of fulfillment. Epicurus's insights also illuminate our relationship with suffering. Life, by nature, includes hardship, illness, loss, disappointment, and conflict. The finite horizon of existence sharpens these experiences, making them unavoidable and, paradoxically, meaningful. Psychologically, suffering is a teacher. It fosters resilience, empathy, and self-knowledge. Emotionally, it deepens the capacity for joy and appreciation, creating contrast and highlighting the fleeting beauty of life's positive moments. Acceptance of suffering, as Epicurus advocated, does not mean resignation, but engagement with understanding, intention, and awareness of limits. Time in a finite life becomes the most precious currency. Every moment carries weight, every decision carries consequence. Epicurus teaches that reflection on mortality is not morbid, but clarifying. It focuses attention on what is within our control, encourages meaningful choices, and discourages trivial pursuits. Psychologically, this aligns with the concept of temporal awareness and prioritization. Individuals who consciously structure their time in alignment with core values experience less regret, higher well-being, and more satisfaction. Emotionally, it cultivates presence, patience, and gratitude, transforming the mundane into the significant. Let us turn now to the paradoxical nature of pleasure and simplicity. Epicurus suggested that abundance often undermines happiness, while simplicity nurtures it. The finite nature of life amplifies this truth. Excess, though tempting, distracts from meaningful engagement, whereas moderation enhances clarity and focus. Psychologically, this resonates with the principle of hedonic adaptation. Excessive indulgence diminishes satisfaction over time, while mindful, moderate experiences maintain or even heighten pleasure. Emotionally, simplicity fosters serenity, contentment, and the ability to savor the present, reinforcing the alignment between human nature and the finite reality of existence. Epicurus's philosophy also emphasizes autonomy in navigating life's paradox. In a finite world, reliance on external validation or control over outcomes is often futile. True contentment arises from internal mastery, the cultivation of self-awareness, reasoned decision-making, and emotional resilience. Psychologically, this mirrors concepts of locus of control and self-determination theory. Those who perceive agency over their choices experience higher motivation, well-being, and satisfaction. Emotionally, it fosters empowerment, confidence, and the courage to face uncertainty with equanimity. The interplay of death and legacy is another dimension of the paradox. Humans desire to leave a mark, to endure beyond their physical lifespan. Yet Epicurus reminds us that mortality is the natural boundary of consciousness. Paradoxically, this limitation liberates us. Instead of chasing eternal fame or recognition, we can focus on the tangible, present impacts we can make: acts of kindness, creative contributions, nurturing relationships, and personal growth. Psychologically, this aligns with generativity, a key developmental task in adulthood. Contributing to something larger than oneself enhances meaning, satisfaction, and emotional fulfillment. Emotionally, it reframes life's finitude as an opportunity to live purposefully rather than as a source of despair. Consider, too, the role of mindfulness and presence. Epicurus's insights prefigure modern contemplative practices. The conscious attention to life's fleeting moments enhances both emotional depth and psychological resilience. In a world that emphasizes future goals, deadlines, and accumulation, the finite nature of life compels us to pause, reflect, and immerse ourselves fully in the present. Psychologically, this fosters clarity, reduces stress, and enhances decision-making. Emotionally, it deepens appreciation, connection, and joy, reinforcing the alignment between conscious attention and meaningful experience. Epicurus's insights also recognize the social dimension of finitude. Awareness of life's limits heightens the value of community, empathy, and shared experience. Relationships, whether intimate or communal, become conduits for meaning, pleasure, and emotional support. Psychologically, social connectedness buffers against anxiety, depression, and existential despair. Emotionally, it provides safety, validation, and belonging, reminding us that while life is finite, our capacity to connect and create impact transcends individual limitation. As we explore this paradox further, it becomes clear that life's finitude magnifies the importance of ethical reflection. Choices, actions, and intentions carry weight precisely because time is limited. Epicurus's ethics are subtle yet powerful. Live simply, cultivate virtue, seek pleasure wisely, and minimize unnecessary suffering. Psychologically, ethical alignment reduces cognitive dissonance and fosters self-esteem. Emotionally, it nurtures integrity, authenticity, and the satisfaction of living in accordance with one's principles. In a finite world, the ethical dimension of life becomes inseparable from psychological and emotional well-being. The awareness of mortality also sharpens our perception of beauty and wonder. In a limitless, eternal life, ordinary moments may seem mundane. In a finite life, the sunrise, the laughter of a child, the rustle of leaves, the warmth of a shared embrace all gain significance. Epicurus encourages us to recognize this intrinsic value, to cultivate gratitude, and to savor fleeting experiences. Psychologically, this enhances positive affect and life satisfaction. Emotionally, it deepens connection, awe, and appreciation, transforming the ordinary existence into a rich tapestry of meaning and pleasure. Epicurus's insight into desire also intersects with freedom. Finite life necessitates choice. The constraints of time and mortality sharpen discernment. Understanding which desires are natural and necessary and which are vain or destructive fosters autonomy and psychological resilience. Emotionally, it cultivates contentment, reduces envy, and nurtures a sense of sufficiency. By navigating desire wisely, we honor life's brevity and maximize the depth of experience, creating a life that is rich not in accumulation, but in satisfaction, connection, and meaning. Finally, Epicurus's philosophy offers a profound meditation on acceptance. Life is finite, unpredictable, and often uncontrollable. Yet within this reality, we can find freedom, joy, and contentment. Psychologically, acceptance enhances coping, reduces stress, and fosters resilience. Emotionally, it cultivates peace, equanimity, and the capacity to embrace both joy and sorrow with balance. By integrating the paradox of finitude into our consciousness, we transform fear into courage, limitation into clarity, and mortality into a source of liberation rather than despair. In conclusion, the paradox of life in a finite world is not a source of hopelessness, but a gateway to profound wisdom. Epicurus's insights illuminate the path. Acknowledge mortality without fear. Focus on natural and necessary desires, cultivate deep connections, embrace ethical living, and savor each fleeting moment with mindful awareness. Psychologically, this fosters resilience, clarity, and well-being. Emotionally, it nurtures gratitude, joy, and fulfillment. Existentially, it transforms the recognition of life's limits into a profound catalyst for freedom, intentionality, and love. The finite nature of existence, rather than being a limitation, becomes a teacher, a mirror, and a guide. Every moment carries weight. Every relationship holds significance. Every experience offers insight. Life, though bounded, is vast in its capacity for meaning.